Welcome, everybody back to a brand new episode of the Trans Lesson Plan, your go-to podcast for transgender history. As I always like to do, is introduce myself. So I'm Mari. And it's an absolute pleasure to have you all back here again on this very lovely Sunday, post Valentine's Day. I hope y'all had for those at least who celebrate or are in relationships or whatever you may be in, period, maybe a situationship. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you enjoyed your Valentine's Day. I did nothing, you know. I've been packing up the rest of the things in this place to get moved over to my new place. So, we're hitting this final leg, y'all. We're hitting the final leg. So that's kind of how I spent my day. I'm a single man anyway, so it really didn't matter. But that was basically my day. And I had a very long week. I won't go into it, but work was working this week, and it was just a lot of things going on, a lot of things happening. So I'm just happy that it's Friday when I'm recording this, but I'm happy that it's just the weekend period. Oh man. As I always like to, I want to get started with the introduction. Like I said, I want to go too crazy, but happy Black History Month. As you already know, for the rest of this month, we will be highlighting Black trans individuals, and today I have someone that is very special. That is currently still alive, as a matter of fact, as well, which makes this even cooler. But a musician that I want to highlight that some of you may know, some of you may not know. But this is going to be my kind of like public, shout out to them. Especially after reading their story too, which I think was extremely beautiful. So let's get started into today's introduction. As I always like to do for our brand new listeners and returning listeners, I like to just say welcome. So if you are brand new here, well, welcome to the very first episode of the Trans Lesson Plan that you're going to listen to, at least for today. I'm sure you're going to go ahead and spam the rest of the episodes after you listen to this one. But just to give you a brief introduction, our podcast is not just about history, but also serves as a platform for education, to provide you with some valuable insights into the transgender community. So my job here and the rest of us on this team aims to inspire understanding, promote inclusivity, and spark conversations about the transgender community, give you some expert knowledge and some resources for further learning. So each of our episodes is intentionally designed to be concise yet comprehensive with a duration of about 15 to 25-ish minutes. Like I said, this changes every time I record. To give you something to start with, and of course you can learn more on your own time. That's the big reason why it's very condensed, is what I like to say. So welcome. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and don't forget to follow, subscribe, whatever streaming service you're currently using right now after you listen to today's episode, or you can do it now if you want to too. You got about another 10 to 15 more minutes of me talking, so it might help to just knock it out now. For my returning listeners, as I always love to do, is I love to say thank you all so much for continuing to support the podcast. It means so much to me that you all are willing to take the time out of your Sundays normally to be able to listen to a podcast episode. Continue to support, continue to show love, continue to leave reviews, positive reviews of the podcast, continue to share it out with your friends, family, or someone that you may know as well. As you all know, I'm not very big on the social media side of this thing yet, as I'm still kind of wrapping up home stuff. So all the success right now with the podcast is really coming from word of mouth, and mostly from you all just going out there and sharing. So thank you all so much for continuing to support. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. So today's episode of the Trans Lesson Plan is going to be about the extraordinary life of Beverly Glenn-Copeland, a musician, composer, and transgender pioneer whose journey really spanned it over several decades, and which is why, as I mentioned before, being able to do the research for this, and I honestly truly wish that I had enough time to like probably set up like an actual interview. But like I said, with the way my schedule is, I just had to do it the old fashioned way. Um, but uh, Mr. Glenn Copeland was born in Philadelphia in 1944. A Canadian born trans man, like I said, who grew up really in a musical household where classical compositions of Bach, Copeland, and Mozart actually filled his air and really brought him life, right? And his early exposure to music will lay really the foundation for his incredible artistic journey that would transcend or multiple genres and generations over time. And in 1961, he made a groundbreaking move to Montreal's McGill University, becoming one of the first Black students actually to attend. However, as you all could guess, right, in the 1960s, no matter really where you were, to be completely honest, it feels like now, this was a period really where they were still backed by significant changes, very similar to what we see here in the U.S. He faced discrimination based upon race, gender, and sexual orientation. And unfortunately, really in this particularly dark chapter of his life, Glenn Copeland narrowly really escaped being subjected to electroshock conversion therapy, which is, I want to say it's like a common treatment in a way of where it's like really big known, unless like you're very like really deep into the community or you know someone who actually went through this. But basically, conversion therapy is exactly kind of exactly what it says. Like, what am I trying to say? Like, the definition is basically in the two words, right? It's an anti LGBTQ plus procedure that tries to convert those who appear or parents think that they're part of the community and try to make them straight. For those who don't know what conversion therapy basically is. So throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Glenn Copeland wore many musical hats, and he performed really as a folk singer, really incorporating elements of jazz, classical, and blues really into his work. And for 25 years, he actually brought joy to Canadian children through his role on the beloved TV show, Mr. Dress Up. Now, I had to look up Mr. Dress Up because I was very confused on what it was. And let me pull this up. Let me pull this up in my stuff right here. I thought I had a tab up for it, but it's not. Okay, here we go. It's actually like I said, children's TV show. If it's very like if you look it up right now, it's basically gonna look like Sesame Street. But like I said, this is a Canadian version. I'm not Canadian, so I never seen the show before until I actually did my research on Mr. Glenn Copeland. But like it's been around for a very long time, from 1967 to 1996. I don't got my glasses on. Yeah, 96, 29 seasons, 4,000 episodes. That's great. Look at that, man. 4,000 episodes. How long is Sesame Street on for? Hold on, wait a minute, y'all. I know I'm sidetracking. Bear with me. Okay, first episode 1969. How long? How many seasons we got? 55 seasons, 4,731 episodes of Sesame Street. Golly, man. Okay. Anyways, my apologies. But to continue on the story, perhaps his really most significant musical achievement came really in 1986 with the release of one of his songs by the name of Keyboard Fantasies. I wish I could play it, but I'm not going to play it because of copyright, because I'm sure there's some copyright on it. So just go ahead and do your YouTube search of the song and listen to it. And while working in children's television shows like Sesame Street, which he also appeared on as well, and Mr. Dress Up, Glenn Copeland felt constrained really not by his musical expression, but by having to present himself as a female during this time. And I was reading a couple of interviews that he had did over the last couple of years, and this is one of the quotes from one of those interviews as he explains. And I quote, "There was no conversation at the time about people who were on the spectrum. You were either heterosexual or weird, straight or going to hell," end quote. However, though, perhaps I think the most significant aspect really of Glenn Copeland's story is his gender identity. And it really wasn't until 1994 that he even confronted the term of transgender. Now, for me, personally, me, Mari, I feel for this because I didn't know about the term of transgender till I was about 18. Um, and that actually helped me figure out like who I was when I first heard the term and like got me to the man I am today. So like I said, a lot of times people think that like these terminologies are just being thrown out there into the wood, like into the I won't say the woods, but into the water and like, people basically just like sipping it up, or something like that. Like I don't understand where that's coming from. My mom really didn't hide much from me. My mom's a very open lady. But she also made sure that I had a lot of awareness of what's going on. So I guess I had queer people in my school, but nobody was trans, right? So it was interesting, like I said, to kind of see the other part of the LGBTQ plus community that I didn't technically really see too much of to actually help me figure out who I was until I found out the term of transgender, which I think is probably common for most of us if you listen to this podcast. Um, and it took until 2003 for him to actually come out publicly about it. Um, as I said before in one of the interviews, as Glenn Copeland himself notes, and I quote, "I think on the deepest level of ourselves, we always know," end quote, revealing my apologies, that he had told his mother that he was really a boy at the age of 3. And like I said, for me personally, I remember being a young kid and I remember telling, I don't know, it's like my family, might have been my family. I know it's definitely my cousins. And I remember being like, I wish I was a boy. Like I was just like, I wish I was a boy. This is, I just want that feeling. You know what I'm saying? Well, you may not know what I'm saying, but I just had that. I just had that in me. It always felt like it was in me, if that makes sense. But to continue, he became a vital figure really in transgender history now. As we talk about really linking us back to the podcast, and really particularly obviously for older trans individuals. And his journey of self-discovery and authenticity had inspired countless others really within the community as well. Um, so to really highlight some of these things I want to talk about for Glenn Copeland is that the recognition of his contributions really continue to grow, even still to this day, right? In 2024, he received an honorary doctorate from the University of Toronto. And was awarded with the Joyce Warshow Lifetime Achievement Award from SAGE, acknowledging really his significance to LGBTQ plus elders. Now, as I always like to do, and before I really get into some key takeaways here, what I want to talk about really quick is where is it? Where is it? I thought I had wrote it down somewhere because I wanted to highlight the importance of elder LGBTQ plus people. I had it, and I had it, and I lost it. It was about Glenn Copeland's coming out that I had, and I thought I had like wrote like a very high level note on it, and I can't find it now. But it was about when Glenn Copeland decided to actually come out and identify as trans. Since I can't find it, I'll just leave it be because, like I said, I'm just too lazy to quick scan all this stuff. Oh, yeah. Okay, yep. 2003. Oh, I already said it. Yes. I was like, so like I said, think about then. 2025. I can't do quick math. 20, 25. 22 years ago. All right. Minus 22. So, currently right now, Glenn Copeland is actually 81 years old. Like I said, still alive and well. It came out when he was 59. So this is just me kind of highlighting really, like I said, you never really know when the right time is, but the right time comes when you know it comes, right? And I think it's very important for people to not rush a process that I won't say they're suffering, but I would say that although it's hard, I think it's always best to get all the answers first before you make a decision. Like, I'm not saying that I don't know if Mr. Good Copeland's story was the exact same, I'm not like everybody's experience is a little bit different. But like I said, for myself, like when I thought I was trans, I didn't immediately hop in to getting hormone replacement therapy. I didn't immediately hop in and do a lot of things as relates to, um, like I said, hormones and surgeries and stuff. I took 2 years to learn about what it means to be trans. What does that look like? How do I envision myself? What are the, I won't say pros and cons, but like what are some of the risks, like from a health standpoint, if I was to move forward with this? Primarily because one, I wanted to make sure for myself that I was making the right decision. Like being a lesbian woman was great. I had no problems with it. But like I said, it still didn't really feel 100% like me, you know? And I just wanted to make sure that if I was to move forward with this step, that I would be happy in the new process and the new transformation that I was going to make. So, as I mentioned, I just want to say don't rush the process if you're not 100% sure. Take the time to learn who you are. If you're really big on like science and stuff like me, take the time to like read all the articles that you can just to feel more confident, but also, like I said, just to make sure that you're making the right decision for yourself. And like I said, I'm not sure where Mr. Glenn Copeland's story is as it relates to his entire process of that per se, like all the ins and outs, all the small little details. But I'm just saying that what I'm saying is, if you're not ready, don't rush it. Happiness will still come for you in the future. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So to kind of, like I said, to kind of get towards, like I said, the key takeaways, Glenn Copeland's story really is a particularly powerful one because it demonstrates really that it's never too late to embrace your true self, as I just mentioned, right? His journey really as a Black trans man, musician, who really found success later in life challenges the conventional narratives, as I mentioned before, about artistic success and gender transition. So today, like I said, at 81 now, Glenn Copeland has witnessed a remarkable renaissance of his work, really. And after uh, a Japanese record collector discovered keyboard fantasies in 2015, his music actually found a brand new audience, which is absolutely incredible. So he's since really been performed at the Museum of Modern Art in New York and been subjected really to multiple documentaries moving forward. So we may see, we're actually going to end up seeing more stories about um, Glenn Copeland. So I'm excited to see that in some of these documentaries that's coming up. So as I say before we wrap it up, the key takeaway is very high level of this as it relates to Mr. Beverly Glenn Copeland's remarkable life story. Number one, a pioneer musician, right, who seamlessly blended, like I said, the classical, the folk, the electronic, the jazz influences really throughout his career. Like I said, being able to span over decades now, like I said, especially with the recent discovery in 2015. Crazy because that's 10 years now. I remember 2015 like it was yesterday because I graduated high school in 16. But like 2015 and it being 2025 and like them 10 years flying by is absolutely insane to me. Crazy. Uh, Number two, he made history as one of the first Black students at McGill University in 1961, really setting the stage, like I said, to kind of break those barriers later on in life. Created, like I said, his groundbreaking album of Keyboard Fantasies in 1986, my apologies. Spent 25 years, like I said, on Mr. Dress Up. I'm gonna probably have to check out some of those shows now. I wonder what Canadian shows are like compared to like the US ones. Um, Coming out, like I said, at around the age of 58, 59, right? Being, like I said, a figure really for LGBTQ plus elders. And continue to stack up those prestigious awards, man. You just demonstrating artistic success and personal authenticity really can flourish really at any age. So embrace who you are truly, and success will come. So to wrap up, for real this time, Glenn Copeland's impact on transgender history extends really beyond his music, right? And he represents a generation that really had to navigate identity without today's language and understanding of gender diversity. And his story reminds us of how far we've come in recognizing and celebrating gender diversity, while also really highlighting the courage of those who lived authentically, even without the vocabulary to describe their experience, right? And as Glenn Copeland observes, um, really today's landscape was one of the interviews, and I quote, "These days you don't even have to say if you're this or that. It's like I'm here on the spectrum today, and then I'm back here somewhere, and then I'm experimenting my apologies over here. There are so many people now who are gender non-descriptive and fluid," end quote, which is true. Uh, so many acronyms. As an educator, I'm still trying to keep up. Um, but even in the face of recent challenges, more health related, you can look more into that if you want. Glenn Copeland's impact on both music and transgender history remains really remarkable. And his journey continues to inspire new generations of artists and LGBTQ plus individuals today, um, which I'm excited about. So before I wrap up, one thing I want y'all to do, all of y'all on this podcast, since you listen to here, you made it this far, I want y'all to do one favor for me and one favor for Mr. Glenn Copeland. Please go purchase, go buy, whether it's in a vinyl, DVD, Apple, iTunes. I don't really know all the. I mean, I know them all, but like I'm like spitballing here. But go buy his most recent album, which was in 2023. It's called The Ones Ahead. I want y'all to go buy that man stuff. Okay, we're gonna celebrate this man for Black History Month. I already purchased the vinyl. It's getting sent to my house, so I will have it. I will play it for one, but also two, I like to keep it really as a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a word that I'm looking for, but I can't think about it. Like keep it in a collection of a lot of trans history related stuff that I have. So please, please, please go to your local. Oh, well, I don't know if I said the local store. I hope it is, but local vinyl store. If not, it's on Amazon, and I'm sure some other. I know we don't really like Amazon right now. Real quick, I'm not even gonna hold y'all. The Ones Ahead. Let me see if I can get y'all. I'm not saying that you can't still buy on Amazon, but I know Amazon being a little wonky lately. But please go buy. Just look it up on Google. I'm sure you can find the album there. But please go support his music. I would really appreciate that, y'all. Let's go share some love for Mr. Beverly Copeland. For Mr. Beverly Glenn-Copeland. My apologies. So to wrap up, I thank you all so much for listening to today's podcast episode. It is a pleasure to be here again every Sunday. I more than likely would not have an episode next week because I am, like I said, wrapping up some house stuff. So it will be the end of the month, but there is a possibility that I might have an episode next week. So really just keep an ear out, y'all. That's why I say just subscribe and follow so y'all could just get the notification if that is the case. But may or may not have an episode next week, so just keep an eye out. As I always like to do, if you want to follow the podcast, you can follow us at the Trans Lesson Plan on Instagram and Twitter. If you want to follow me, the host Mar, you can follow me at mariiiwrld. That is MAR3ISWRLD. If I don't get to talk to you all next week, as I said before, thank you so much for supporting. I hope you all have a great rest of your week to start. Enjoy yourself for the month of February. Enjoy yourself for the month of March as well. We're going to get through this. I know it's still been a very hard couple of months so far. I have to say things that I would not say on this podcast. I'm sure I would get in trouble, but just know, I don't like that man. Just know that. Thank you all so much. Greatly appreciate it. And I hope you all have a great rest of the week. Peace.